Good evening and welcome to a new edition of the news. His Majesty King Abdullah met with President of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, who is visiting Jordan for the first time. The discussions held on the sidelines of the Aqaba Meetings in the presence of His Royal Highness Crown Prince Hussein covered prospects of bilateral cooperation in the economic, investment and trade fields. Efforts to counter terrorism within a holistic approach were also tackled. The King also met with Deputy Prime Minister of Somalia, Mahdi Mohamed Gulid, on bilateral ties and efforts to fight terrorism. The Aqaba Meetings are a series of international meetings launched by His Majesty in 2015 to bolster exchange of expertise among regional and international partners to counter terrorism. The latest round of Aqaba Meetings focused on East Africa. His Majesty King Abdullah offered his condolences to Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari over the victims of terror attacks that targeted civilians and military personnel last month. In a phone call, the King condemned the cowardly act, stressing Jordan's solidarity with Nigeria in its efforts in the war against terrorism. Prime Minister Omar Razaz met with members of the lower house's Modernity and Development bloc headed by MP Mazen Al-Qadi. Qadi said his bloc believes in real partnership with the government for the benefit of the country and citizens, pointing to the importance of conducting more dialogues and links between the executive and legislative authorities on challenges facing the kingdom. Razaz said the government is working to bridge the gap with citizens and build confidence, noting that the government's two-year priorities include on-the-ground achievements and implementation criteria within specific timelines and citizens' accountability. The government's priorities in the two-year plan, the Prime Minister said, also include coming up with 30,000 job opportunities, which will be mostly in governorates that are less developed. The government will withdraw the cybercrime law referred by the previous government to the lower house of parliament at the request of House Speaker Atif Tarauni. Minister of State for Media Affairs, government spokesperson Jumana Ghnemat, said the decision comes in response to demands of representatives of various sectors, professional unions, party and civil society organizations in their meetings with Prime Minister Omar Razaz. She added that the government will revise the cybercrime bill in consultation with the concerned authorities and specialists and then present a new version to the lower house of parliament. Yemen's warring parties held the first direct talks in UN-led peace efforts in Sweden to iron out a prisoner swap, one of thousands of several confidence-building measures intended to help launch a political process to end nearly 4 years of conflict. Since talks began on Thursday, UN officials have been shuttling between delegations from the Houthi group and the government of Yemen. The parties have yet to agree on trickier issues, including the reopening of Sana'a airport and a truce in the port city of Hodeidah. The war in Yemen has killed tens of thousands of people and caused a major humanitarian disaster. The talks are due to last until the 13th. Paris tourist sites reopened, workers cleaned up broken glass and shop owners tried to put the city on its feet again today. A day after running battles between yellow-vested protesters and riot police left 71 injured and caused widespread damage to the French capital. Some 125,000 yellow vests took to the streets around France with demands related to high living costs. Demonstrators left a trail of destruction on the city's streets, with bank and insurance company offices' windows smashed, cars and scooters set on fire, and street furniture vandalized. A total of 1,723 people were arrested all over France. The embattled president, whose name rang out across the Champs-Élysées as protesters shouted "Macron, resign," is expected to address the demonstrations tomorrow. White House Chief of Staff John Kelly will leave his job at the end of this year, announced U.S. President Donald Trump. Kelly was brought in last year to restore order to an often chaotic White House, but clashed repeatedly with the president in recent months. Trump said a replacement for Kelly would be made soon, though White House officials say he is in talks with Nick Ayers, the chief of staff of the vice president. Christmas has come early to the streets of the Spanish capital Madrid in the form of thousands of Santa Clauses. But these were unusually athletic and out and about with a different purpose than delivering presents. More than 7,000 people dressed as Santa Claus and many children dressed as elves in green robes took part in the 5-kilometer charity race to raise money for cancer care. Organizers say the Santa-themed race is the largest of its kind in the world. Meanwhile, in Germany, the streets of Mischendorf were filled with fluffy red suits and pointy hats as thousands dressed as Santa joined the annual St. Nicholas Run. Aimed at the entire family, the event comprises several races ranging from 2.5 to 10 kilometers. Organized by a running club in Mischendorf, this year's event is the 10th since its inception. In sports, Olympic halfpipe champion Chloe Kim of the United States and Australia's Scotty James secured victories in the season-opening snowboard World Cup event in Copper Mountain, Colorado. 18-year-old Kim, who won gold in Pyeongchang last February, earned a score of 92.25 for his second run that included a frontside 1,080 tail grab into a Aqaba 900 indie in the middle to claim her third consecutive Copper Mountain title. Kim's compatriot Madi Mastro finished second, while China's Kai Zitong took third. In the men's competition, Olympic bronze medalist James triumphed with a score of 96.75 on his third and final run that saw a unique switch crippler chicken salad in the middle section and 3 double corks in a row, including a last hit frontside double cork 1,260 indie.
He's got to be the 94 score.
And finally, for a quick look at the weather. Cold conditions prevail across the kingdom tomorrow, with temperatures remaining below seasonal average, with a chance for showers in the northern regions. Winds will be southwesterly moderate. Amman can expect a high of 13 degrees Celsius and a low of 6. Pleasant conditions are in the forecast in the Dead Sea, the Jordan Valley and the Gulf of Aqaba, with daytime temperatures in the port city at 23 degrees, dropping down to 12 at night. And with this, we come to the end of this edition of the news. I'm Ali Al-Tuqan. Thank you for joining us and have a good night.